Namaste my fellow strikers, Holy Materia here, back with another Shinobi Striker video. Today we're going to be talking about some combat builds for beginners that are non-DLC, so let's get right into it. Okay, so let's start off with healer, because the best builds for combat for healer are actually non-DLC anyway, so even if I was including the DLC, these would still be the same. The best healing build for beginners in combat would be Cellular Extraction, 8 trigrams Palm Sage, the Healing Tag or the Healing Seal, and Feather Illusion Jutsu or Sleep. Or you can substitute Cellular Extraction for Palm Sage Jutsu if you like that better, but I would suggest Cellular Extraction. Now, once you get a little bit better and you can move more, I would have 2 healing jutsu, so like Cellular Extraction and Palm Sage. But when you're first starting out, I would suggest having something to like keep people off of you, especially if you have the Healing Seal and no kunai. You want to be able to keep people away from you, so using the air palm is a good way to keep people off of you, and the seal their jutsu so they have a harder time attacking you. But once you get better and you're really good at moving around, then I would replace air palm, or you can use chakra scalpel, but I would replace that with another healing jutsu, because it's more vital to be able to heal better once you get into like more advanced matches. But I would say that this is the best build for beginners in combat mode. For the weapon, I would use just the standard healer weapon. So anyone that has the same combos as that one. My favorite healer weapon is the Sakura one, but it's not all that great in combat because the hitbox is kind of unreliable. So yeah, you can use like the Tobirama one, or even the Itachi one, or just like the regular one. So yeah, those are the best ones to use in combat. And also I would go with the Shadow Clone for your substitution, because it has a shorter cooldown. It only has a 25-second cooldown, so it's shorter than like the other clones, but it will make your opponent stay targeted on your substitution. So if you use like a high-speed movement or just a normal substitution with a log, it's faster than the other ones, or it's faster, but your opponent will stay locked on you. So it's not really useful for healers when you need to try to get away from people, since a healer is just trying to escape and wanting to like immediately re-engage like some of the other types might want to do. As for clothing, for the top, I would go with either the one that gives you your ult charge faster, so you can have more feather illusions, especially if you're playing on a map with pitfalls, or the one that increases healing. But just know that only increases the healing that you receive, not your teammates. So that's why I don't really use that one all that often. And then for the bottoms, I would use either the ninjutsu cooldown or the ninja tool cooldown. Now, since you only have one healing ninjutsu, I would go with the one that makes your ninja tools come back faster, because the healing tag is really, the healing seal is really crucial. So so I would go with the one that brings back the ninja tools faster. And for the accessory, I would use the one that brings your ninjutsu back faster when your health drops below a certain amount. And they actually just buffed that recently, so it's even better than it used to be. So like if you're almost about to die as a healer, then that means you'll get your healing ninjutsu back faster, and you'll be able to kind of like get yourself out of that bad situation. That's one of the best ones for healers to run in general. Okay, so now let's talk about range. For range, there's a few easy jutsu that are non-DLC that you can run. This is just a build that I used to run when I first got the game. That worked well for me. So I used to use the Ink Lion, the size lion move. I forget what the name of it is, but that one, and then Flame Control. Flame Control got nerfed and they increased the cooldown, so I kind of stopped using it after that. But it's still useful, and I've actually found that the cooldown doesn't really affect like when I would usually use it. So yeah, that nerf wasn't really that bad. So it's still really good to use on combat, because you can just spread that on everybody. You get a lot of kills that way, because anybody who gets killed while they're still on fire, it counts as a kill for you. So even when you kind of don't even do anything to somebody, you still get credit for kills. And then the Sinbun would be the ninja tool. They're really easy to use, and you can use it to help you kunai spam. and they just do a lot of damage, especially when we pair it with the top that we're gonna wear. So for the ultimate, I go with Totsuka Blade. Now they just nerfed this recently too in the last patch, so now it takes a little bit longer for you to get it, but I still say it's like one of the best non-DLC ultimates. Or you can use kitting, but it's kind of hard to hit that unless you have a team like that you're coordinating with. Or it's kind of inconsistent, I'd say, especially in combat where people are moving a lot. So it's not the greatest to use in that mode. So yeah, I'd use Totsuka Blade and in the Kusanagi sword, so you can use your charge attack to it has a really good hit stun on it. So once you charge at your opponent, they'll be stunned, and then you can pop the Totsuka Blade on them, and that initial hit will kill most people besides defense types. And then once you get good at it, you can change your target at the last second before you hit the person that you're targeting, and then you can aim the blade that the fire that comes off of the blade will be aimed at somebody else. So yeah, you can use it like that. And as far as clothes go, for the top, I would either use the one that makes the status ailments last longer, because both of your ninjutsu put a status a debuff on your opponent. So the ink lions, it makes them slower, and then there's a burning effect on the flame control. So that's a good top to wear. Or you can wear the one that makes your ninja tools stronger. So your Senbun will be really OP if you use that one. So that makes everything stronger. Like your Senbun, and then like if you use the triangles, or if you use the kunai spam and you put the Senbun within that, then that will make that whole thing a lot stronger also. And then for the bottoms, I go with the reduced ninjutsu cooldown, and for the accessory, I'd use the one that gives you a little bit of health back anytime you get a KO. And I'd also use the Shadow Clone Jutsu for range types also, for kind of similar reasons as with the healer. Okay, so now let's talk about attack types. So the best build for beginners that's non-DOC for combat, I would say, is Leaf Rising Wind and Sharingan for your ninjutsu. So Leaf Rising Wind is easy to hit with. It has really good tracking, and it's really strong, and it breaks guard. And then Sharingan gives you an extra substitution, so it's really good for beginners who like want to get out of trouble a lot more often than more seasoned players. But with this, you want to use one of the real clones, so not like Shadow Clone Jutsu, or not substitution or high speed movement, because every time you use Sharingan, it also uses whatever clone you're using. So if you have like a clay clone, then you'll get 2 of them, or if you have like any other clone, like the water clone or whatever, you'll use that clone when you do your Sharingan also. So you want to use one of the real ones, but it's up to you which one you use. And for the ult, I would go with Planetary Devastation. It's one of the best ults in the game, and it's also non-DOC. So yeah, it's still like one of the meta moves. And then for the clothes, I would go with the top that makes it so it's harder for your opponent to fall, so that when you're doing combos, your combos can last longer. And then for the bottom, I would go with the ninjutsu cooldown bottom, and then for the accessory, I'd also use the one that gives you life back, because you're going to be getting a lot of KOs, and none of these moves heal you that for attack types. So I would use that accessory so you could stay alive longer. And for the ninja tool, I just use the regular kunai, because they're easy to use, and you can also use those to extend your combos. So it'd also work out well with the top that we're gonna wear. And then for the weapon, I would go with the ones, the knuckle knives or whatever, the one that Asuma uses, because it's really easy to combo with those, and you can keep doing that jab over and over again if you just push R2 and square button at the same time over and over, you can just keep doing that jab over and over. So you can also use the top that makes the first hit stronger, the first hit in a combo stronger, but I would still go with the one that makes it so that it's harder for them to knock down, because even when you do that, you could get more hits on them, so it ends up being more useful that way. Okay, so now let's talk about defense types. For defense, for the ninjutsu, I would use Snake Thrust and Sand Shield, because you want to be going after the scrolls as a defense type, so you can use Sand Shield to get those. And it's actually more useful, or it's actually more powerful in combat mode, because people aren't running a bunch of sand shield counters in combat battles, so you'll be able to use it more effectively. So yeah, snake thrust is really good. It breaks guard, it breaks sand shield and water pillar, and it gives you health back. So you can run snake thrust with sand shield, or you can even run subterranean voyage if you want to really be able to keep your health regenerating and kind of like be independent, like not really even needing your healer to keep you up. So yeah, so that's also good for beginners too. And for the ultimate, I'd use water shark bomb jutsu. It's really easy to use. It has a huge hitbox. It does pretty good damage. It resets people's jutsu and their substitutions and everything, or resets people's jutsu and their ninja tools and everything. And it's something that doesn't require any setup, so you can do it when you're solo, and yeah, and it comes back pretty fast too. For the ninja tool, I would use one of the scientific ninja tools, so like the Rasengan, or maybe the fire tool or the lightning tool. But that's kind of up to you for defense. For the weapon, I would use the scythe or the fan. Those are both pretty good in combat. And then you can pair that, because the triangle button, you can do a combo with the triangle that you just like keep hitting them. Especially with the fan, you can just keep hitting them and they keep bouncing back up and hit them again with triangle. So you can pair that with the top that makes the first hit in a combo stronger. And then so that will make that hit stronger. And then for the bottoms, you can use I would just go with the ninjutsu cooldown. That's just one of the main bottoms that I use. Or you can use the one that gives you more health, or the one that reduces ninjutsu damage. So if you want to be like even tankier. And then for the accessory, I'd also run the one that gives you your health back when you get kills, because even the tanks will still be, or the defense types will also be getting a lot of kills, and that will just make you even tankier. So that's all I got for this video. I hope this was helpful for beginning players and for people that don't have the DLC. Thanks for coming through. Don't forget to Shinobi strike that like button. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the support, and thanks for 300 subscribers. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace and love.